Good evening, blessed family of women in ministry. We thank God once again that we have come together. We have missed you indeed, but the timing of the Lord is the perfect timing. Tonight we've come to your humble abodes once again, as we usually do on Sunday evening. And tonight we have a wonderful topic, an amazing man of God who will take us through. And our theme today is the flourishing marriage. Indeed, we all want our marriages to flourish, but can we do it alone? No, we can't. So we have today with us a wonderful man of God who will take us through. And today you'll be hearing our voices again, myself, Audrey, and my co-hosts.
Eva Tadayapua. Hello, everyone. We have indeed missed you. It's been a long break. Thank God that we are back on with you. How are you? We hope you're keeping well. We know that the Lord is with us because He's promised not to leave us, not forsake us. So we keep plowing on. And what a great opportunity to be back with a very beloved man of God to speak to us today. Our topic for today is the flourishing marriage, And our guest minister tonight is Reverend Ronald Daku Mireku from the Exhibition Assemblies of God Church, Ghana, Yansuma. He's in charge of missions and youth ministry. Reverend Merku is a marriage counselor and a real estate consultant. He is married with 4 lovely boys, and personally, he's a friend to my family. He's been a friend way back from uni. He's a beloved I would like to introduce Reverend Merku to Women in Ministry. Reverend Merku, you are welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Thank you so much. Now, to start with, what is the flourishing marriage? What is a flourishing marriage? Or what makes a flourishing marriage?
Okay, so in an illustration, I hope my illustration works. So myself and my wife decided to grow grass or lawn in our compound. And then we got a gardener. The gardener said, oh, he can do the job. And we asked him, so does it mean we need to get black soil? He said, no, every soil can grow grass. So he got some white sand outside our house, which looks like sand by the seashore, and then used it for the planting. We waited for the grass to grow, and it grew miserably. And so we kept calling, he wouldn't come around. Then he told us to buy fertilizer. So we got the fertilizer, we applied the fertilizer, and we noticed that the weeds grew even faster than the grass. It wasn't a problem. What am I saying? So later we got another person who got us the black soil, and we did the growing again, and it's flourishing and it's beautiful. So a flourishing marriage is a marriage which is doing well, a marriage which brings satisfaction, a marriage where both parties are happy, right? So both on the outward and and inwardly, both parties are happy, both parties feel satisfied. That's a flourishing marriage. But I'm wondering whether I'll say it's within a spectrum. It's not at a peak. So marriage is flourishing. It doesn't mean that everything is going on well. We may have some challenges here and there, but at least we have some greater level of satisfaction, some greater level of love and appreciation for each other, to be around each other and be happy and be satisfied. So that's how I'll define a flourishing marriage. Yes, so that's it.
Please carry on, Pastor.
Okay, so that is what I'll call a flourishing marriage. So just like the grass in our compound, it needed the right ingredients to be able to flourish, to be able to look green, to be able to compete with weeds and overcome weeds, to be able to come out and look as good as the owner would want to see it, right? And fulfill its purpose of that beautification purpose or that aesthetic purpose. So in the same way, for a flourishing marriage, there are also certain things which must be done to make sure that the marriage will look beautiful, to make sure that the marriage pleases the parties in it and also pleases God. So basically, that is what I would say a flourishing marriage is and what it's needed for the marriage to flourish. So I would say this, flourishing marriage, the first ingredient, there are several ingredients, but I'll just look at, I think, 4. So the first one is prayer. The second one is good communication. The third one is good conflict management. And the last one, I would say, is right. Let me put the conflict management at the end, but when there's time, then we do conflict management. So there's good prayer, good communication, and good sex. These 3, I think they are core and could help a marriage flourish. Should I continue? Or you have a question? I should go ahead. Okay. So then if we speak of good prayer, it means that we must commit time to pray into a marriage. Oftentimes when we are kissing and hugging each other, we decide not to pray about our marriage. When we hold each other's hands and then we are able to send text messages in the afternoon and the evening and remind each other of how we feel about each other and send emojis and pictures and some romantic songs to each other. We are on a cruise control, so we forget to pray. But it's very important that even in the good times of marriage, we pray. And in the challenging times too, we pray. And one thing we must understand is that the devil is not happy we are married. The devil is not happy our children are growing up in a complete family, where there's a father, where there's a mother, and there's joy in the home. No, the devil is not happy. The devil will prefer that they are broken homes, where the children will have questions, where the children will have questions about love. The devil will prefer that there's abuse in the marriage, so that there's no real joy and happy in the marriage. That is what the devil will prefer. So it's important that we pray against the devices of the enemy or the devil concerning our marriage. And we shouldn't take it lightly. We shouldn't take it for a joke. So that is the first one, why we must pray. The next reason why we must pray is because of us, right? When you read the New Testament, you notice that Peter mentions the devil. Jesus also has an encounter with the devil. But the rest of the New Testament is really talking about you, your character and my character. When you look at Galatians, he speaks of the sins of the flesh, what we like to do, right? Our characters, our habits, right? We must pray so that God helps us to deal with the habits, because some of us really have these terrible habits, and sometimes we think that it's only the other person who is troublesome. There are several times I've sat in front of married couples, and there was one recent one I sat with, and the lady kept complaining, my husband is like this. When she started talking, I was like, Charlie, then this guy is really demonic. This guy is terrible. I was like, this guy is bad. She spoke and my husband doesn't listen, and my husband, when the husband started speaking, I was shocked. All that the lady is saying is true, but what the husband is doing is reacting to the lady's behavior. How do you lock your husband in and to torture him? How do you scratch your husband's face with your fingernails? So sometimes it's the devil, sometimes it is really us. We have built up some characters, we have built up some habits, and we have entered the marriage and we are torturing each other. So at points when we have our devotions, when we connect to God, we should ask God, help me deal with this anger. God, help me deal with this habits of self-seeking, selfish habit. God help me. And as God helps you individually, so that you have the form of Christ, you can live comfortably with each other and be happy with each other. God help me to deal with this spirit of bitterness and spirit of unforgiveness, right? So once you do that, then you are becoming better in marriage. I always say this: if there are two good Christians in marriage, all things being equal, and they want to behave like Christ, all things being equal, the marriage will work. Right. So we need a prayer to deal with the devil, and we need a prayer to deal with us, to make us better people. So that is with prayer. And sometimes we can pray together. Sometimes our sleeping patterns, our work patterns are different. So we can pray at different times, but at least we must pick a day we pray together. Maybe Thursdays, maybe Mondays. So we are praying into our marriage, and we do that. Even if it's for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, pray and deal with this. And also pray that you become a better person in the marriage. So that is why we need prayer. So prayer is one of the, whether it is a black soil or it's a good fertilizer intended to make marriage flourish. Then we also have communication. Now, I intend to be brief with my presentation so that I'll have more time for questions. Now, so communication is the transmission fluid which works marriage. So communication is sort of the grease for the friction in a marriage. Communication is sort of the blood which moves things. Hey, my science is suffering. Forgive me. My biology is suffering, but blood moving through the body, right? Not feeding the body whatever it needs, right? So that is communication. So communication is basically giving information to your spouse giving feedback to you. So I want to express something, and I let my partner know, right? And then my partner responds. So in communication, there is the one who is giving the information, there's a medium for the information, the receiver for the information, who is supposed to give a feedback, right? And when it comes to communication, it is not just verbal. Sometimes it is non-verbal, right? So then I want something. So maybe I want food. So I express I want food, and then you bring food or you give me food. I want sex. Maybe for sex, I will not say, hey, I want to rock your world, or can you rock my world? No, maybe you will not say that. Maybe you start with some petty, slim kisses on the forehead, on the ear, on the neck, and when they bend, and you touch them a particular way. And then they just know that, hey, you want it, right? So that's non-verbal communication. So there's verbal and there's non-verbal communication. There are certain things too. I would say that I think that wives do so well at it. The husband is talking, the wife will look at him with a particular expression. So the husband is talking about certain things. The wife looks at him with a particular expression, and he knows that what he's saying is automatically rubbish and nonsense, and he's supposed to shut up. Because just the expression on the wife's face is feedback enough to inform him whether he should continue or not to continue. So in the communication, there's verbal and non-verbal, both for the sender, the medium, and then the receiver, and then the feedback. So, but ideally, non-verbal is nice and okay, but sometimes some people don't get the decoding. They can't decode the messages. But I'm sure that as your marriage goes, you get to know each other's body mannerisms and the rest, and you are able to really know what they are talking about or really know what they are doing. For instance, for my wife, when she becomes quiet, then I'm beginning to think whether I'm in trouble or not, because she has a method of silent treatment. So when the silent treatment goes on for like 12 hours or half a day, or then you know that perhaps there's something wrong. So it's communication. Although it may not be ideal, it's communication. Maybe when they call in, they'll tell us why women do silent treatment. Anyway, that's by the way. Let's continue. Okay, so the next, so when it comes to communication, so there are levels to communication. There's a first level, which is basically greeting. So the husband is leaving at the house and then goes to the wife and says, good morning, I'm off to work. The wife says, okay, when you come back. Okay, so the husband comes back, good morning, good evening, and greets the wife. The wife also maybe comes back later. How are you doing? Oh, I'm fine. Okay, I think I want to shower. They shower. Then they go back to sleep. That kind of communication. That's the first level. It is basic. It is some couples find themselves in that situation, especially some who are who've had some issues before. So it's basic level communication. So good morning, good afternoon, and all that. And so, and sometimes somebody would come and say that part of the one of the people in the marriage will say that. Now we don't even talk. And the other person, but you greeted me and I responded. No. That's the first level. It's communication, but it's not enough, right? Then we go to the second one. The second level is the communication which talks about others and other issues and never us. So, well, we have started greeting. After greeting, then the next thing we do is that we are talking about the children. Oh, so the children, how did he do in school? Oh, he did well. Where's the report card? It's good. Okay, which course does he want to do? He wants to do land economy. He wants to do, of course, biology. He wants to do this. This is what he's good at. Oh, that's good. Is he playing any sports now? Oh, he's playing some sports. Oh, we have to take them to, then we'll talk. Then we'll talk about the other person. Maybe we'll talk about Pastor Small. We'll gossip about Pastor Small. After that, then we'll talk about markets. Then we'll talk about, if they are both interested in sports, they talk about sports. That's the second level of communication. That communication, we talk about everybody except us. And that is rather characteristic of friendship with men, right? Men, when they are relating to their fellow men, it is talking about football, talking about politics, talking about economy, talking about some other thing. When men are normally in friendships, they don't go to the final level. That is why sometimes we have a lot of men who have mental issues and who can get suicidal because their friendship doesn't get to the third level. And the third level is where we express our feelings, how we feel to the other person. How are you feeling? How do you feel about what the person did? What do you feel about what the person said? What do you feel about how the person acted to you, right? So sometimes we don't do that. We just are just quiet about it. And then we'll talk about everything and dodge that topic of how we feel. But when we want to really get to that epitome, is that a big word? Epitome. Yeah, it's a big word, but it's okay. So when we want to get to epitome of communication, then that is where we express our feelings. So sometimes what I do with my wife is I have a swivel chair in my bedroom. Should I say my bedroom? Yes, my bedroom. I'm not sure it will spark any imaginations. It's okay. So then I sit on the bed and she's sitting on the swivel chair and I draw her close to me and I ask, so far, then she'll say, so good. I said, really? So good. Are you sure? Okay. So for the last 1 month, how has it been? Have I offended you? Is there something you want me to change about me? Something you want to change about, let's talk about it. And then we go all the way, we even talk about sex. And then I ask her, now, has things changed? Now, where are your where are you most sensitive? Is it still your neck? Or it's now your scalp? Then she'll just laugh. The last time I was talking to her, she was like, I'm shy. But you see, that is it. So I'm talking about how I feel. Once you know how I feel, you know how to deal with me. Once I may have some errors here and there in dealing with you, but as much as I get to hear your feelings, I get to know your thoughts and all that, then I can relate with you better. So that is the final level of communication. I pray that every married couple gets to that level of communication and should be part of, even if it's not daily, weekly communication. Now, in communication,
can I stop you there, Reverend?
Yeah, you can stop me here.
And announce the phone lines.
Okay.
Hi, hello everyone. This is Women in Ministry. We hope you're having a good time. We have Reverend Ronald Dakumreku here, and we're talking about the flourishing marriage. Please get in touch with us. We are streaming live on Facebook, Supreme Praise Radio. We are also live on YouTube, Supreme Praise Radio. Our contact number is 07308, obviously 0447308 8980156. I suppose the phone number is also pinned on our platform chat, so you can reach us either on Facebook, YouTube, or just WhatsApp us, and with your questions, comments, and we should be able to get Reverend Meku here to answer them for you. So please get in touch with us. I think so far he's talked about the elements of a flourishing marriage. I think one thing that's hit me here is that he said marriage, the flourishing marriage is a spectrum. You know, it's a spectrum that you work in, you flow in. It's not a peak. So if there's anyone telling you, as for me, my marriage is the best, please, they are lying. Okay, no one can peak in having the best marriage. They are bragging. Okay. So he said that it's a spectrum that you move in, that you work in and you live in. So I think that's something to take home with you, that there is no marriage which is 100%. He's talked about prayer, the importance of prayer to destroy the works of the enemy, you know, to stop the enemy from destroying your home, and also prayer for yourself, so that, you know, our own personal habits, you know, the Lord will help us deal with them. I know for a lot of women, we have ours is a lot of unforgiveness and bitterness. We tend to bottle stuff in and keep things in our hearts. So prayer, so the Lord will help us release all those things and be more like him. And good communication. He's talked about the deeper level of communication, the third level of communication. So talking about the children is good, but that talk will not help your relationship with your husband. It does not improve your relationship with your husband. And I think I do that a lot. I talk about my children a lot. Sometimes my husband goes like, Mom, now please, can we talk about something else? You know, can we just discuss something else? And I'm learning in that aspect. So yes, deeper level of communication to help our marriage. All right, Reverend, please carry on.
Okay, so then when it comes to the communication, then one thing we must also look at is the tone and the choice of words. The tone and the choice of words. So I'm talking to my wife and I'm talking in a shouting voice. Maybe I used to live by the seaside. So, you know, those who live by the seaside, when they speak, the wind blows their voice away, so they have to scream. But now we are not living by the seaside. So come on, can you lower your tone a bit? Can you lower your? Can you stop shouting at your wife? Can you stop shouting at your husband? Can you stop screaming at each other? I'm sure they are not deaf. I'm sure they are not deaf. They will need an aid rather than your shouting. And so it's important that we don't scream at each other. The other thing is that the choice of words. So the choice of words. You see, we can have issues we want to talk about, but sometimes the words we choose pushes us from the issues. Okay, so let's say this: your husband has been shaving, and when he shaves, he tries to wash off all the hair from the wash hand basin, from the basin. He tries to do that, but always he has some challenges. Some are left here and there. Then you go like, oh, sweetie, please, kindly next time, can you kindly make sure that all the hair goes away? Okay, fine. That's one way to say it. If you go like, are you not smart enough? Are you not wise enough to know that when you shave, you must clean the wash hand basin? You see, he even forgets the wash hand basin issue is talking about. All he hears is that my wife is saying I'm foolish. My wife is saying I'm not wise. So sometimes in the harsh tones, in the wrong choice of words, instead of the issues being brought out and discussed, what we notice is that it rather brings more strife because the words you have used are not, rather triggers a person's emotions in a negative way than to listen to the actual issues and deal with the issues. So the choice and then the tone of words. Then the time. At what time are you saying what? Right? We need to know our partners. At what time are we saying what? If your husband is the morning type where, let me explain this morning time, where he wakes up maybe at 5:30 a.m. and begins to plan the day. So he's sitting on the bed or by the desk and he's thinking and planning the day. And that is when you want to raise a very important and delicate issue to discuss. You may not like the response. The same for the wife. If you do not, how do you call it? If you will not also pick the right time, but maybe you are not helping with her at home. She wakes up, she's fixing the children, and that is when you want to talk about the mortgage you are going to pay for as she's fixing the children. Come on, you'll just be annoying her. So that time is wrong to talk about mortgage. That time is wrong. So you pick the right time to talk. So you get me? So know the time to talk. Some can talk at 12 midnight, but there are some people will say, oh, it's better when it's quiet than we talk about 12 midnight. But some people, Charlie, they do very bad during midnight. They will struggle. Some people also have insomnia. And I know insomnia, insomnia, struggling to sleep. Or that one is, insomnia is okay, correct. Okay, so insomnia, struggling to sleep. Then you wake, the person struggles at 1 a.m. to sleep. Then wake the person at 4 a.m. I want to discuss something with you. Come on. It's going to be fireworks. The time is wrong. Let's pick the right time. Then the place for the communication. There are certain things we say in the bedroom. There are certain things we say in the living room. There are certain things we say in the midst of others. There are certain things we don't say in the midst of others. There are certain things we say in the presence of our children. There are certain things we don't say in the presence of our children, right? So let me give you an example. Some women would want to bring out the issue of their husband's ex-girlfriends in the midst of their children. And some of these things makes the men very uncomfortable. Or a man talking about the wife's ex-boyfriend, saying that, oh, your mom used to have this boyfriend, and come on, in the presence of the place is just wrong. There are some things we can discuss driving. There are some things we can't really discuss driving. If you've heard somebody, there's a very deep secret you want to reveal to your partner, you don't do it when they are driving. You all crash to death, right? So you pick the right place. And one of the very good places to communicate is sometimes over food, somewhere quiet. Somewhere quiet over food. Let's say you go to a restaurant, you go to a quiet place, you are talking. The place is quiet or some very low tone music, and you are talking. Over there, you will notice that people will open up and then they talk, right? That is why people go on dates. People go on dates, especially when they like somebody. Go, can we go on a date? And the wrong place to go on a date is to go at the fast food joints where there's so much loud, people are just jumping all over the place. No, it's somewhere quiet where we can sit and talk. And that's when I talk, you will hear me clearly. If you don't understand anything, you would express it. So eating out, sitting out, maybe on a park somewhere, nowhere to go, maybe on a Sunday afternoon, is sometimes one of the best places to have a conversation. So the place too is very important. Now, doing all that, clarity is important. Be clear what you are talking about. Some people, they talk about, they beat about the bush all over and leave the call. Be clear about what you're saying. If some people will just make suggestive remarks and leave it. If you want sex in the morning, be clear about it. That, okay, now my schedule is quite tight in the evening. So if we could do it in the morning now, I'll be very great. Not that, I hear sex in the morning is good according to some research. Then you talk, okay, oh, where did you get the research? Okay, good. Then you leave it like that, no conclusion, nothing. No, it's not the ideal thing, be clear. And then also words like I'm sorry must come to you easily. I'm sorry, I apologize. And then sometimes you say sorry not when you are wrong. You say sorry even when you're right. Make sure that there is peace at home. And then finally, in communication, thank you. Be appreciative of your spouse. A lot of times we are not appreciative of our spouses because of a sense of entitlement. Your husband cooks for you, or your wife cooks for you, and it's like, oh, you eat and then you just walk away. Oh, your husband cooks for you, your wife cooks for you. Thank you. Pass a compliment. If it's delicious, say it's delicious. I just remembered your yogurt, Eva. Say something. Be appreciative. Be appreciative of the person. If your husband gives you some very good orgasm, just say something nice. Oh, baby, I'm so grateful to you. But it's a work, it's a duty. It's my husband's duty. It's his work, and therefore we don't say thank you. When you say thank you, it spurs the person on to do more. So it's important that we say thank you. So that is for communication. Yes. I have not covered the entire topic of communication, but this is something, I'm sure, something brief which can help us in our marriage. Okay. So now I can still continue. Okay. So then I want to talk about sex. Sex is good. Sex is good for married couples, right? In fact, I say that sex is sort of a thermometer to check the temperature of the marriage. If a couple are married and they tell you for 2-3 months they've never had sex, it tells you that something is not really right, except that there's a medical situation. If there's no medical situation, for 3 months, you're sleeping on the same bed. Come on. You should feel for something. So it's so as a couples must have sex as frequently as possible, right? You must have sex as frequently as possible, and it's in having good sex at this stage of marriages. We must be conscious of certain things. We must be conscious of the variation in our libidos. When I say libido, I mean your sexual drive, right? We must be conscious of it. There are some women who have high libidos and some men who have low libido, sexual drives, right? How do we work this thing around so that even when my drive is low, I can meet your drive, which is high? Sometimes also the men. Some men, if you allow them, they could have it even 3 times, one morning, one afternoon, one evening, right? So we must be conscious of it. So how do we meet each other's sexual drive, right? So we must be conscious of the varied libido. Even as we are being conscious of the variation in our libidos, we must also be conscious in the change of our libido, even as we grow, right? So I got married in my 20s, so 28, 27 thereabouts. Man, I was on fire, right? I'm sure those who got married in their 20s, they were really on fire, Charlie. You could do a certain number of rounds in a day, you get me? Yeah. But as you cross 30 and you enter 35, you notice that the drive for it is not like before. It's changed, right? So if a woman, some women will start feeling, my husband doesn't approach me for sex like when we were married. But Have I lost my beauty? Have I lost my sense of attraction? Perhaps it's not there. It's not that. It's just that by virtue of age, it is dropped. So we must be conscious of that and must appreciate that fact, right? So we must be conscious of that. We must also be conscious of our changing bodies, right? Our bodies are changing. When I was getting married, my stomach was rather flat, quite flat. But now when I look into the mirror, I notice that it's bulging a bit. And then also the women maybe at the start of the marriage, their bodies look a bit different. Maybe they were trained, maybe their breasts were pointing horizontally. But now it looks like gradually it's pointing vertically. Know that these are the changes, and therefore don't really some pick on each other, pick on each other. Why is it like this? But sometimes you are really working at it, and for you may know it is by your activity, that body part doesn't look the way it should look. So we must be conscious of that. And we must be conscious of our preferences even as we grow, right? Some people may like oral sex when they were younger, but as they grow, it's too much work for them and they are no more interested. There are some like that. So as they grow, oral sex doesn't do for them. Some people may be interested in some forms of foreplay when they were, when they were younger, but now really they can't be bothered. There are some sex positions which used to excite them then, but now really they can't be bothered. Perhaps they preferred, coming from behind. But now they want to see their wife's faces and the expression of desire on their wife's faces, so they'll prefer to face their wives in a sexual encounter. So as those changes, we must be conscious of it and talk about it, and then also in that, in understanding and appreciating all that, we must work at the excitement, because sex thrives better in excitement. If it is always we just go and lie in the bed, as we are lying in the bed, then I begin to touch my wife, and then we have sex, lie in the bed under sheets, always. After some time, it becomes so monotonous and boring. Right? So we must be able to introduce some excitement, change of venue, right? We can do it in the afternoon in the living room. We can try the kitchen cabinet, the tabletop. It allows you from sexual position, so kitchen chair, and then what? I don't know whether your guest toilets are that big. So change of venue, change, you get me? Change the venue. It shouldn't always be in the bed. Sometimes. And there should be some spontaneity. We must come with it. Spontaneity. So be spontaneous. Every day we're going to have sex and we are going to lie in bed and do it. So if we are watching a movie and I just feel for it and I drop my hands in the woman drops her hands in your trousers, your pair of trousers or your shorts. Allow it, feel free, let it flow, right? Some spontaneity with it. And sometimes when you go on vacation, it helps. So you try something different. You try role play. So some crazy role play, some crazy role play. Sailor, some people do sailors and then I don't know what they add to it. Some people do teacher students. Teacher students is tacky, but for some people it excites them. That the man is the teacher, the woman is the student, or the woman is the teacher and the man is the student. You've been bad, you've been really bad, and therefore because of that, I'm going to, okay, let's continue. So several role playing. There are several role playing. Pilots, how do you call it? Pilots, flight attendants, welcome to my boat, welcome to my ship, welcome to my plane. I'm not sure. For pastor member, that one is wrong. That one. That one is out of the question. Don't try that. Okay. So role play. And then some exciting games will get your, how do you call it? You can even also download some cartoon presentations of the various expositions. We get about 100 of them. You can even decide actually, every day we are going to try one of them. Some may look very acrobatic and may break your neck. So that those ones you decide to make, not do them, but for the others, you could try and bring some excitement to your marriage. But I think that I must say this. One of the things which really, or let's say two things which really affect sex in marriage is selfishness, where the other person is just interested in their satisfaction and not the other person's satisfaction, right? So once I have my orgasm, you can go and bend the sea. I don't care, right? There are ways, even if you're a man, your erection is dropped, there are ways you can still attend to your wife and make sure that even if she doesn't get to orgasm, she gets to the pinnacle of orgasm. She has some experience of orgasm to excite her, right? And there are issues, if you have issues with premature ejaculation, kindly attend to it. There are some techniques you can use to last longer and all that. And the women too, there are some techniques, some exercises which can also make you tighter, and you could also use that to make the marriage exciting. But just like I said, selfishness is one thing which doesn't make marriage sex exciting in marriage. The person is just out to get what they want. And some people also behave in this way that when they are ready for sex, that's when sex happens. When you are ready for sex, sex will not happen. That also really puts people off and it doesn't help. Then the second thing I'll talk about is adultery. Adultery also doesn't help sex that much because sometimes there's forgiveness, but the memories struggle to go. And therefore, when the person is with you, he's just wondering some thoughts and some ideas. So that is with sex. Okay, so I think at this point I can pause now as I ask for questions.
Thank you very much. What an insight you've given us today for marriages to flourish. We're very, very grateful. I'm sure our listeners, you are very blessed this evening for such an insight concerning marriages that flourish. It's important that we have our marriages flourish in our individual homes. And one thing I'll add on to what our guest speaker said, it's not only your home, but also your marriages tend to follow you out. So it can be seen outside. So let's work on our marriages using the insights that we've received this evening from Brother Mreku this evening. And we thank so many people online this evening that are listening. Oh my God, goodness, I can't not, there's so many that I can't go through the whole list from United Kingdom, you know, all over the place, Norwich, and, you know, United States. We thank you all so, so much. If I decide to go through the list, we will not finish this evening. But indeed, Women in Ministry appreciate your time listening to us. Thank you so much. If there's any questions, as my co-host Sister Eva mentioned, our line is +4407 +4473089805156. Please do get in touch or send us a message on our live stream on YouTube, and we will be endeavored to answer your questions. You can also call us and, you know, add your voice to the program. You know, you have anything to contribute to the program, please kindly do give us a call.
Right. Thank you, Minister Audrey. Rev Ro, I want to ask a question.
Okay.
Well, I have been told that a lot of African women are very conservative when it comes to sex, and even sex in marriage. They are very conservative, and as a result, don't know much about sex and how to use it in their marriage. What do you have to say about it?
Okay, I think that it comes from the precondition and the environments they grew up in. You see, there's this consciousness with the African woman, especially the one who grew up in Africa, of preserving herself before marriage. And you are told in church, you are told according to your custom. Even in Ghana, I think that there are points where if you premarital sex is so much of a big issue, but now it looks like it's watching anyway. That if you get a woman pregnant who you are not married to and the woman dies, you are forced to perform her marital rites. So she's growing up, she's been told she's a gatekeeper, she's been keeping the gate for some time. So when she gets married, sometimes to switch from allowing herself to go, how do you call it? And to now be in everything and allow her to experiment. It's becomes difficult because she's operated like that for about 25 years. That condition and that needs, but you must be able to also understand that now I'm married and therefore I should feel free to have sex any day, any place, and no matter. The other thing is that the men they also marry must also leave us the judgmental that once my wife has tried this new skill, where did she learn it from? Come on, come on, come on, listen to certain things. Your wife, if you're married to an African woman, she learned something about ice cubes or whipped cream or something, and then she's trying it with you. Come on, allow yourself, right? And the men encourage the women to and know that be rather an appreciation that they have done so to be ready to explore. So I think that is the women should let it go. They should try it. They shouldn't line up a lot. Kind of said, "Oba your 9 like just place your leg well so that I can come." No. Be active in bed. Make moans, moan, right? Groan. I don't know, groan, no groan, moan. So have some moans. Be able to turn your husband. Be able to try up. Be able to, you get me, say certain things to make the spice setting up. You should allow themselves, yeah. Because now you're married, and I'm sure God will be clapping for you, even as married couples are having sex. I'm not saying he has that kind of time to be doing that, but I'm saying that in his thoughts and his being with us, it will be good if, I'm sure heaven will be excited you're having good sex with your husband. Yeah. So that's it.
Reverend, thank you. Second question.
Yeah.
You know, the children are a blessing. Yes.
Yeah.
But parenting, I believe, puts a big toll on marriage. What do you have to say about that? And how can we negotiate?
If you can explain the question better. You said parents put a big toll on marriage. I said,
yes.
If you can explain.
Yes. So most of the time you find that by the time you have time to do all the children talk, talk about school, how they're doing, by the time you finish sorting the children out, there's no more time for both of you. There's no more time to discuss any personal issues, to check on how you've been, how your spouse has been. You just drop down and sleep, and then wake up the next day to do the same thing, help the children go to school. Yes, go to work, come back, eat, clean up, and then so you It could be
I get
that
you,
for a
I
week.
get you now.
For a week, you might not, have had time to actually look your spouse in the eye and say, "How are you? I love you." So
Okay. I get you. I get you. I really get you. It's something which really happens when you have children. I have 4 sons, and they are a 24-hour job. Kind of like they're always on fire. They're always very active and all that. I get that, but sometimes I think that if there's an account proverb which says that if you stop what you are doing, you get lazy. But what I really want to say is that you must make time, even if it's 5 minutes before you guys sleep, to check on each other. And I also noticed something with me and my wife. My wife works 8 to 5. I also work 8 to 1, but my peak time is really weekends. So sometimes pastor wakes up in the morning on a Saturday. There's a naming ceremony, there's a funeral, there's a wedding, there's a TV program to do, and then the next morning is Sunday. Sunday after church service, everybody's coming to see pastor. 4 o'clock, we are preparing for the next Monday, and it's like that. And then when she is busy, I'm sort of a bit free but we try to make time. So sometime during lunch time, we decide to have lunch together. So I'll drive towards maybe a central point. Then she also drives to the central point. Then we have lunch together where we'll talk a bit about our lives and all that. And then we'll drive back to wherever we are coming. So we must find space in that. And sometimes within the morning, as you're working, just send a WhatsApp message, check on each other, and that kind of thing. And the response will be good. The other thing we can also do is that maybe we are couples, myself and my wife, then Eva and her husband. Okay. So what we've decided to do is, okay, Friday evenings, we were all trying to make our marriage better. So I'll carry my kids to you Friday evenings. This Friday evening, you take my kids, take care of them. We'll be back in 3 hours or back in 2 hours. Then the next week, I take yours so that they can have some time together. So we run that shift, and then it will help. If your parents live close to you and all that, then you can also try that with them and have some space. At least in a week, if you can do some 2 hours, it helps. It's better than nothing. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying.
Good. Thank you.
Pastor, I don't have a question, but I want to add something to what you mentioned in regards to communication. I want to link prayer and communication together and how effective it can be in marriage. Recent experience, I came across a very young, newly wedded couple. And the issue wasn't anything so huge that cannot be solved, but it was mainly communication. And when we talk about communication, it's a very broad area to discuss. Due to different upbringing, individually we communicate differently, and different things means different to the other party which you're communicating to. So sometimes clarity becomes a little bit of an issue, much more ambiguity in the communication. So what I said to this couple is, something, there's an issue here where one is coming from a background where everything is said in a shouting way, as you mentioned, but it's been the norm for that individual that, this is how I know communication. The other party is coming from a very calm background where there's proper discussion, explanation when there's something going on. So there's much more understanding and clarity when there's communication. So how do these two individuals live together? I couldn't figure it out, myself and other people involved in the case. So I made a suggestion. I said, something, do you guys pray together? And they said, oh, we do our devotions individually when we wake. I do mine when I have time. And So I said, well, now let's start this way. Do your devotion together. Pray together. Praying is you two communicating with God together. So who will shout to God? Who would, have, the calmest voice? Do it together in prayer, and let's see what happens. And by the grace of God, today they have come to a conclusion, and they're teaching one another. So it's no more an issue that you're shouting at me, but the other party understand the background where my wife or my husband comes from. And although it's not great, it's a working process. And the other party understand that, yes, I need this help, this teaching. So I 100% agree with the prayer and communication that it's one of the most important, two of the most important ingredients that we need in marriage to flourish. Because today, by the grace of God, there's some sort of clarity in their communication, although there's not professional communication, if I may put it that way, because what we see, sometimes we think when we are all calm and, we understand what the other person is saying and we can transmit the feedback, that is what communication is about. But I think when we can start with prayer, and also understand the background of individual, we can teach one another. And I really think it's something we should add on to our everyday marriage. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you too. Lesson learned. Yes.
Well,
okay.
Rev Ro,
Yeah.
following up on that contribution, can it just be that, a couple have been together for more than 7 years and they've not had a fight, like they've not had a serious row, an argument? Can it just be? Could it be that they are not? Could it be that they are not communicating at a deep level? Because I know when I know that when there are deeper levels of communication, like you talked about, on that very personal level, then things will begin to rub each other and there will be conflict. Yeah. Or could it just be that they are communicating so well at a deeper level that everything is smooth sailing?
You see, the thing is that to have a couple for 7 years, who've been married for 7 years and have not had any disagreement or have not had any conflict is something difficult to have, because in the first place, it's a man and a woman who are getting married. I'm sure on this platform is man and woman marriage, heterosexual marriage.
Yes. Yes,
definitely. Yes. So it's very difficult to have a man and a woman marry and not have a chance, because there's a man who is marrying a woman. How women see things are different from how men see things. So if you are all very holy, just dropped from heaven, even the fact that there's a man and a woman who are in a marriage, you have some conflicts, you have some disagreements. Men see things differently. Women see things differently. Women will go more with their instincts. And therefore, sometimes, I'm not saying women are not logical. Women are logical. But sometimes they may go with their instincts, and the men are dealing just with their logic. And sometimes, at the end of the day, the man gets it wrong, and the woman gets it right? So, and even, let me use a simple example. Even how we shop is different, right? How we shop is different. If you follow your wife to, I'm just getting some memories. You follow your wife to the mall to buy something. If you don't like window shopping, you may get annoyed, because we are going to the mall to buy maybe some beddings, some bed linens. We are just going to buy. She'll go through the jewelry shop. She'll go to the perfume shop. She'll go through all that with you before we get the bed linens.
That's me.
And even the bed linens, as if she's not really made up her mind the type she's going to buy. She's going to look at all
Reverend, are you with us? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good.
I tell you that you will need it. The woman will tell you, we will need it later. Maybe when we get a guest, we'll need it. And you are standing there wondering why she's buying it. Right? A man, a woman, we see things differently. We do our things differently. Right? The way we even lift the WC seat is different. Let me say that on a low note.
Yes.
So
That's true.
So because of that, at least you have some disagreements. And if you grew up in different communities, different neighborhoods too, you would also see things differently, right? The way if somebody grew up in a poor home, sometimes they eat all their food before their fish. They eat all the carbohydrates before the fish, right? If somebody grew up in a good home, there's a way they approach the food.
Yes.
The cutlery approach and all that. Someone will just be sitting there and wondering, what's going on? What are you doing? So because of even where we grew up with, you could have some difference. Sometimes our ethnicity or our race also brings us some difference because of the cultural difference. In fact, when you read the book of Ruth chapter 3, you notice that Ruth
Reverend, are you still with us?
she needed how do you call it, Naomi, to give her pointers, because he said, go lie by him this way, wear your perfume this way, right? Naomi understood that based on their culture, if you do this and that, the man will understand this is. But Ruth was from Moab and will not understand the culture. And perhaps her approach would have been different. But because Naomi understood the culture, so if we are from different cultures, different race, different ethnic group, it's likely we would crash. Even if we are all Christians and one is Pentecostal, the other person is Orthodox and all that. Sometimes our belief systems are different. So you have some bits of disagreements, conflicts here and there, but the beautiful thing is that we come together and we resolve it. What is the main thing is kept the main thing, and what is not, it's just kicked somewhere. Yeah. So that's it. So I think that Eva, it will be Minister Eva, Reverend Eva, Bishop Eva. I think that it will be very difficult. 7 good years, and then someone is pretending throughout the 7 years. Yeah.
Thank you, Reverend. I think we've got over our time, but I can't help but note something. Would it be helpful, and Minister Audrey, you can comment as well, because you have a lot of experience in in doing in managing people at church and all that. Would it be helpful that churches provide rites of passage, so to be couples are taught some of these things? I know there's counseling, but I don't think sex is taught in counseling. And there is so much to talk about sex when it comes to marriage and African marriages, Black marriages. What do you think, Reverend Ronald and Minister Audrey?
Okay, so this is what I would say. Premarital counseling is as good as a counselor. So if a premarital counseling will go well, it depends on the counselor. So, okay, not only that, and also the couple, right? I've been doing premarital counseling. I have a WhatsApp group of all those I've counseled before. I think there are over 40 couples I've counseled, and they're all in one WhatsApp group. Keep them there for purposes of post-marital counseling. So once in a while, I drop some bites for them to remember certain things we discussed and all that. There are some couples, when they come, they don't tell you what is going on, even in their relationship. Sometimes there's even sexual abuse in the relationship. When they come for counseling, they don't talk about it. It's after the marriage, these things start coming up, right? So it's okay. So it also depends. And then some of the marriage counselors, too, sometimes they are too conservative, that they do not talk about sex. But now with a lot of trained counselors, they really deal with sex and ask questions, right? And ask questions. And when you come, let me say that the counseling I do when it comes to sex, I use 2 days for sex. We'll talk about do's and don'ts. We'll talk about challenges of women, frigidity and the like. Then we come to men, premature ejaculation and the rest. Then we'll come to sexual positions. Then we'll come to various methods of foreplay, right? Then we look at other contemporary challenges and contemporary views on sex, right? So we look at all that. Some are conservative and they don't want to see, they think that a pastor shouldn't be talking about some of these things, but I tell you, a pastor should be talking about some of these things. So I get you. Yeah, I agree with you.
Minister Audrey.
Very good question, Sister Eva. Thank you, Pastor Ronald. It's a subject that, if I may put it this way, it tends to be a taboo to talk about, especially in our culture and also in churches. Having said that, to break that barrier, it has to be a subject to talk about, and it has to be a free talking. To break that mindset that it's not a public discussion. If that mindset is broken, then marital couple will feel free to talk about sex with one another, because there are certain couples that they can't even talk about their own sexual life. So how much more will it be easier for that couple to come out and have a discussion with their pastor about their sexual life if they can't sit to talk about, this is what happened, I don't like this way, I'm not getting this that way, should we do it? If that simple conversation cannot happen between the marital couples at home, the chances of them having the boldness to come outside to talk about it, it's very slim. So it's part of our job to encourage couples. As Reverend said, he sits down every now and then and have a good chat with the wife. How do you feel? Do you think I can do anything different? Do you want me to do something different? These are the new styles I've got. What do you think about? This gives them that opening, that clear communication door, so they can talk about their sexual life to any extent. We can start this before, way before. So it's part of life. If we shy away from it from early stages, I'm not talking about going to teach children about sexual life, but at the age where it's appropriate, before the individual gets into marriage, it should be something to talk about, building confidence and boldness. So if there's any concerns when they enter into marriage, they know that it's a free subject to talk about, and they can come out and talk about it.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Minister Audrey. Rev Ro, thank you so much. Can I just read out a few notices? Thank you to our listeners from Mountain View, California, Houston, Texas. We've got so many listening from United Kingdom, Norwich. Thank you so much. Raleigh, North California. Thank you so much. Norwich again. Thank you so much. And to everyone who's tuned in from YouTube, Facebook, thank you for being with us. We've had Reverend Ronald Mreku here today discussing the flourishing marriage. I have a feeling Reverend Ronald, you've just given us the tip of the iceberg, and we have to come down and perhaps host you again. so that we can go deeper into some of these things. But I believe that as a church, we need to discuss these things that affect us in our daily lives, so that our testimony of our Lord Jesus will be a stronger testimony, you know. Our children will be safer at home, our marriages will be flourishing, and our children will feel safe at home, and we will enjoy living our lives for God. So yes, let's talk about these things. And please, if you have any questions after listening to this program, our number is there. Please get in touch with us, and I'm sure someone will come back to you very soon. Minister Audrey, Reverend Ronald, final words, and then we'll take final words from Minister Audrey as well.
Okay, so what I'll say is that let's try and enjoy our marriage. And you see, if you think that your marriage is on autopilot, rethink it. Marriages are not on autopilot. You must make commitments to work on it, right? You must make commitments to work on it. Don't say, oh, we are married, and that's all. No. And just live your lives. No. There are points where people feel lonely in marriage. There are points where people feel disappointed in marriage. There are points where people need reassurances of your love for them in marriage. And don't take those things for granted. Right, so make a conscious effort to make your marriage a beautiful one. And I trust that a good marriage, a good family, you have good children. May God bless you all, and may your marriages flourish in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Well, thank you so much, Reverend Ronald, and to you, to Sister Eva, and to our very dear NYG. I just want to add that, you know, prayer is also a key, and it's a stronger key. Please, as we pray together, as the Bible says that the house that prays together stays together. So part of your marriage, it's prayer. So prayer, communication, and every other added to it. And then you will have a flourishing marriage. Thank you so much, Reverend and Sister Eva.
Well, so we'll come your way again. Please watch out for our flyers on the Supreme Praise Radio Facebook page, and please get in touch with us. We hope these sessions are being a blessing to you. That's the point. You are meant to be blessed by them. So let's get some feedback from you. May the Lord be with you. May the Lord cause his face to shine upon you. We'll come your way very shortly. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.
Bye.